Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the 7 lessons that schools never teach. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, says something that completely changes how you see money. He says earning money is a science and it is not taught in schools. Schools train us to become employees. They teach us how to build careers, get promotions, and earn salaries. But if you grew up in a middle-class family like I did, there is a high chance your parents unknowingly taught you how to stay poor. Not because they did not love you, not because they did not want you to succeed, but because they themselves were never educated about money. They were taught outdated ideas, and when you were born, they passed those ideas on to you. Kiyosaki says poverty works like genetics. It passes from one generation to the next. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is one of those books I truly wish I had read when I was 14 or 15 years old. That is why in this video, I will break down all 7 key lessons from the book, clearly, simply, and practically. Lesson 1, the rich do not work for money. When Robert was 9 years old, he and his best friend Mike were not invited to a classmate's beach house. Why? Because they were poor. Robert went home and asked his dad how to become rich. His father replied, "You need to learn how to make more money." Even as a child, Robert felt that advice was not enough. Robert's real dad, whom he calls his poor dad, was a well-educated teacher who earned a good salary but always struggled financially. So Poor Dad suggested something surprising. He told Robert and Mike to go talk to Mike's father, who Robert later called his rich dad. At the time, Rich Dad was not rich yet. He had not even finished 8th grade, but he owned multiple businesses. When they met him, Rich Dad said he would teach them how to make money, but not in a classroom. He said, "If you want to learn, you must work for me." He paid them 10 cents an hour, 3 hours every Saturday. The job was boring, dusty, mind-numbing. After 3 weeks, Robert wanted to quit. He felt exploited. But that frustration was the lesson. Rich Dad explained that life is the best teacher, and life rarely explains things politely. Life pushes you. Most people react emotionally. They complain, quit, or demand raises. Very few stop and ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Rich Dad told Robert that most people work because of fear. Fear of not having money. Once they get paid, greed takes over. Wanting more things. That cycle creates what he called the rat race. The solution is not more money. The solution is learning how to make money work for you. Eventually, Robert and Mike created a comic book library where kids paid admission to read comics. The money came in even when they were not there. That is when they learned the truth. The rich do not work for money. They build systems that make money work for them. Lesson 2. Why financial literacy matters. When people ask Robert how he became rich, his answer is simple. Financial literacy. Rich Dad taught Robert and Mike accounting using simple diagrams. The most important lesson was the difference between assets and liabilities. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. If you want to be rich, buy assets. Most people buy liabilities thinking they are assets. That is why many high-income professionals still live paycheck to paycheck. More money does not fix money problems. Financial education does. Robert defines wealth like this. If I stopped working today, how long could I survive? When your assets cover your expenses, you are wealthy. Lesson 3, mind your own business. Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's, once said something shocking. He said he was not in the hamburger business. He was in the real estate business. People confuse their profession with their business. Your job is not your business. Your business is your asset column. Keep your job, but build assets on the side. Real assets include businesses that run without you, stocks, bonds, income-producing real estate, royalties, and anything that produces income or appreciates. Build assets first. Let assets pay for luxuries. Lesson 4, taxes and the power of corporations. Taxes were originally designed to target the rich, but today it is the middle class that pays the most. Why? Because the rich understand corporations. A corporation is a legal entity that allows income to be earned, spent, and taxed differently. The rich do not play by the same rules as employees. That is why financial education matters more than high income. Lesson 5. The rich invent money. The most powerful asset you own is your mind. With financial intelligence, opportunities appear everywhere. Robert once bought a house worth $75,000 for $20,000 and flipped it within hours without using his own money. Markets rise and fall. Opportunities never stop. Those who see them win. Those who fear them watch. Lesson 6. Work to learn, not for money. Many talented people struggle financially because they lack one skill. Usually, that skill is sales or marketing. Robert says he is not a best writing author, he is a best-selling author. Learn a little about a lot. Develop skills in cash flow management, systems, people, sales, and marketing. Do not chase paychecks. Chase skills. Lesson 7. Overcoming obstacles. 4 things stop people from becoming rich. Fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits. Everyone fears losing money. The difference is how you handle it. Winners analyze. Losers criticize. Instead of saying, I cannot afford it, ask, how can I afford it? And finally, pay yourself first. That pressure forces growth. The mindset that separates the rich from everyone else. In part 1, we covered the core lessons of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but understanding the lessons is not enough. Most people read this book, feel inspired for a few days, and then return to the same financial habits. In part 2, we go deeper into the mindset shifts that actually separate the rich from the poor and middle class. This is where the book becomes uncomfortable, because it forces you to question beliefs you may have carried your entire life. The biggest difference between the rich and the poor, according to Robert Kiyosaki, the biggest difference between the rich and everyone else is not intelligence, talent, or education. It is how they think about money. Poor and middle-class people think money is scarce. The rich know money is abundant. Poor and middle-class people think security comes from a job. The rich know security comes from skills and assets. Poor and middle-class people think working harder solves money problems. The rich know thinking better does. This is why 2 people can earn the same salary, yet one builds wealth while the other stays broke. Why high income does not mean wealth. One of the most dangerous myths in society is believing that earning more money will solve financial problems. This belief keeps millions trapped. Doctors, lawyers, engineers, and executives often earn high incomes, yet many live paycheck to paycheck. Income is not wealth. If expenses rise as fast as income, you are running in place. That is why Rich Dad focused on building assets, not lifestyle. Why the rich love problems. Most people hate problems. They avoid them, complain about them, or hope someone else will fix them. The rich see problems differently. To them, problems are opportunities that force growth. When Rich Dad made Robert work without pay, it created a problem. That problem forced him to think creatively. The result was the comic book library, which produced money without constant work. Money follows problem solving. Why schools fail at teaching money? Schools teach students to avoid mistakes. Do not fail. Do not take risks. Follow instructions. Money does not work this way. Every successful investor has lost money. Every entrepreneur has failed. Failure is part of success. Schools reward obedience. The Real World Rewards Initiative. That is why many top students end up working for average thinkers. Why saving money will not make you rich. Poor Dad believed saving money was the key to safety. Rich Dad believed saving alone makes people passive. Inflation reduces the value of savings. Taxes punish earned income. Expenses grow over time. The rich invest money and put it to work. Saving is defensive. Investing is offensive. The truth about job security: Poor Dad believed job security was the ultimate goal. Rich Dad believed job security was an illusion. Companies downsize. Industries disappear. Skills become outdated. True security comes from adaptability and skills. If you can sell, communicate, and analyze opportunities, you will never be poor. Why most people never escape the rat race. Most people stay trapped because of emotional decisions. Fear keeps them in jobs they hate. Greed pushes them into lifestyle inflation. Comfort keeps them from learning new skills. They say they will start later. Later rarely comes. The rat race ends only when assets replace income. The power of long-term thinking. Poor and middle-class people think month to month. The rich think in decades. They ask how a decision will look in 10 or 20 years. Short-term thinking creates stress. Long-term thinking creates freedom. Why action matters more than knowledge. Reading books does not make you rich. Watching videos does not change your finances. Action does. Most people wait until they feel ready. Readiness comes after action, not before. The rich act, learn, and adjust. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not just a book about money. It is a book about responsibility. When you stop blaming your parents, your job, or the economy, you take control. Change how you think, and your income will follow. How to apply Rich Dad, Poor Dad in real life, starting from zero. In part 1, we covered the core lessons of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In part 2, we explored the mindset that separates the rich from everyone else. In part 3, this becomes practical, because knowledge without action changes nothing. This part focuses on what you can actually do, even if you have no money, no business, and no investing experience. Step 1, stop saying I cannot afford it. The most damaging phrase poor and middle-class people use is, I cannot afford it. That phrase shuts the brain down. Rich Dad taught Robert to replace it with a better question. How can I afford it? The moment you ask how, your brain is forced to think. Opportunities start to appear when you train your mind to search for solutions instead of excuses. Step 2, build your asset column first. Do not focus on income. Focus on assets. Your job is only a funding source. Every extra dollar should move towards something that produces income or grows in value. Examples include stocks, small businesses, real estate, digital products, royalties, or skills that increase earning power. Assets first, lifestyle later. Step 3, keep expenses low while learning. Many people sabotage themselves by upgrading their lifestyle too early. A higher phone bill, a better car, more subscriptions. Rich Dad says, control expenses while building assets. When assets grow, let them pay for luxuries. If your job income pays for luxuries, you are still trapped. Step 4, learn basic financial statements. You do not need to be an accountant, but you must understand where money comes from and where it goes. Learn income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. If you cannot read your own numbers, you cannot control them. The rich look at numbers before emotions. Step 5, learn sales and communication. Sales is not manipulation. Sales is the ability to communicate value. If you cannot sell, your ideas die in your head. Every wealthy person can sell something, a product, a service, an idea. Sales multiplies talent. Step 6, use your job as a training ground. Your job is not your enemy. Use it to learn skills, learn leadership, learn communication, learn systems, learn people. Do not ask what the job pays. Ask what it teaches. Skills travel with you. Jobs do not. Step 7, start small, but start now. Most people never start because they wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions do not exist. The first deal will not be perfect. The first investment will not be perfect. That is normal. Confidence grows from experience, not thinking. Step 8, expect mistakes and losses. If you fear mistakes, you will never win. Every investor loses money at some point. The rich learn from losses. The poor quit. Failure is tuition. If you are learning, You are not losing. Step 9, surround yourself with smarter people. Your environment shapes your thinking. If everyone around you fears money, you will too. Seek people who analyze instead of criticize. The fastest way to grow is proximity to people who think differently. Step 10, measure wealth correctly. Wealth is not cars or clothes. Wealth is time. Ask yourself this question. If I stopped working today, how long could my assets support me? That number is your real financial score. Final message. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not about becoming rich overnight. It is about escaping dependence. Dependence on jobs, dependence on paychecks, dependence on outdated thinking. The moment you start building assets, even small ones, your future changes direction. Start thinking like the rich before you become rich, because money follows thinking. If you found value in this series, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thanks for watching. Why most people never become rich, even after reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. By now, you understand the lessons. You understand the mindset. You understand the basic actions. Yet, here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people who read Rich Dad, Poor Dad never become rich. Not because the book is wrong, not because the lessons do not work, but because understanding is not transformation. Transformation requires behavior change. And behavior change is where most people fail. In this part, we will explore why that happens and how to break through it. The comfort trap. One of the biggest enemies of financial freedom is comfort. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels responsible. Comfort feels mature. But comfort is expensive. Comfort convinces people that as long as bills are paid, everything is fine. Comfort whispers that learning can wait. That risk can wait. That investing can wait. The problem is that comfort quietly steals time, and time is the most valuable asset you have. The rich are willing to be uncomfortable early so they can be comfortable later. Most people choose comfort early and pay for it forever. Why intelligence alone does not create wealth. Many people believe intelligence guarantees success. It does not. In fact, high intelligence often becomes a disadvantage financially. Why? Because intelligent people overthink. They analyze too much. They wait for certainty. They need proof before action. The real world does not reward certainty. It rewards speed, adaptability, and learning through action. The rich do not wait to be right. They move, adjust, and improve. That is why average thinkers who act often outperform brilliant thinkers who hesitate. The addiction to safety. From a young age, people are trained to value safety. Get good grades, get a stable job, avoid risk. Safety sounds logical, but safety in the modern world is fragile. Companies fail, industries disappear, pensions vanish. Inflation erodes savings. The rich understand that safety does not come from systems. It comes from self-reliance. Skills are safer than jobs. Assets are safer than salaries. Adaptability is safer than predictability. Why people defend beliefs that keep them poor. One of the strangest things about money is how emotionally attached people are to their beliefs. Tell someone their favorite sports team is bad and they may laugh. Tell someone their money beliefs are wrong and they become defensive. People defend ideas like, my house is my biggest asset. Debt is always bad. Investing is gambling. Rich people are lucky. Money is the root of evil. These beliefs feel true because they were taught early and repeated often. But feelings do not equal facts. Until beliefs change, behavior cannot change. And until behavior changes, financial results stay the same. Why the rich focus on ownership. Employees trade time for money. Owners trade systems for income. This is one of the biggest mindset shifts in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Ownership creates leverage. A single system can produce income repeatedly without constant effort. Employees must restart every day. The rich ask different questions. How can this scale? How can this run without me? How can I own instead of rent? How can I earn without being present? These questions lead to assets. Most people never ask them why cash flow matters more than price. Poor and middle class investors focus on price. Is it cheap? Is it expensive? Is now the right time? The rich focus on cash flow. Does it pay me? Does it cover expenses? Does it grow over time? Price is temporary. Cash flow is what creates freedom. A cheap asset that costs money every month is a liability. An expensive asset that pays monthly income is an asset. This is why financial literacy matters more than income level. Why emotions ruin financial decisions. Fear and greed control most money decisions. Fear of losing money. Fear of missing out. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of being wrong. Greed for quick profits. Greed for status. Greed for lifestyle upgrades. The rich do not eliminate emotion. They learn to act despite emotion. They slow decisions down when emotions are high. They speed decisions up when logic is clear. Most people do the opposite. Why being busy feels productive but is not. Busyness is another trap. People feel productive because they are exhausted. Long hours, endless tasks, constant stress. But busyness does not equal progress. The rich value leverage over effort. They ask, is this the highest use of my time? Can this be automated? Can this be delegated? Can this be eliminated? Most people trade energy for income. The rich trade thinking for systems. Why patience separates winners from quitters. Building wealth takes time. This reality turns most people away. They want results quickly. When results do not come fast, they quit. The rich understand delayed gratification. They plant seeds knowing they will not see fruit immediately. They invest knowing the payoff is later. Patience is not passive. It is active consistency over time. Why the rich study behavior, not just numbers. Most people think finance is about math. It is not. It is about behavior. Knowing what to do is easy. Doing it consistently is hard. The rich study habits, how people spend, how people react to fear, how people follow crowds, how people avoid responsibility. Understanding behavior gives the rich an edge. Markets are driven by emotion, not logic. Why blaming feels good but destroys power. Blame feels comforting. Blame removes responsibility. It is the economy. It is my boss. It is my parents. It is the government. It is bad luck. But blame steals control. The moment you blame, you give power away. The rich take responsibility even when it is uncomfortable. Responsibility creates freedom. Why small decisions matter more than big ones. Most people think wealth comes from big wins. One big investment, one big idea, one lucky break. In reality, wealth comes from small decisions repeated daily. What you spend, what you learn, what you avoid, what you tolerate. Small leaks sink big ships. The rich fix small problems early. Why learning never stops. The world changes constantly. What worked 10 years ago may not work today. The rich never stop learning. They read, they study markets, they learn new skills, they adapt. Poor and middle class thinkers seek certainty. The rich seek education. Why action creates clarity. Clarity does not come before action. It comes from action. Most people wait to feel confident. The rich act while uncertain. They trust their ability to adjust. Action creates feedback. Feedback creates growth. Final reflection for part 4. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is not a guarantee of wealth. It is a mirror. It shows you how you think. It reveals your habits. It exposes your comfort zones. The book does not change lives. Decisions do. If you think differently, you act differently. If you act differently, results follow. In the next part, we will focus on building a long-term strategy that survives recessions, market crashes, and economic change. Because real wealth is not built for good times. It is built to survive bad ones. If this series is helping you, stay with it. The shift does not happen overnight, but once it starts, it never goes backward. If you made it this far, it means you are serious about changing how you think about money. Remember, Financial freedom does not come from motivation alone. It comes from understanding, action, and consistency. If this video helped you see money differently, take a second to like the video. It helps the channel reach more people who need to hear this message. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. New videos are posted regularly to help you think smarter about money, mindset, and freedom. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.